When you walk down the soda aisle at your local store, you'll see a lineup of familiar names: cola, root beer, tonic water, and of course, ginger ale. It's crisp, refreshing, and somehow always there when you're feeling queasy or tired, a quiet companion in moments of discomfort. But have you ever stopped to wonder why it's called ginger ale when it's not even ale at all? The word ale usually brings to mind pints of golden beer, foamy and strong, something crafted in wooden barrels, not a fizzy, non-alcoholic soda in a can. So how did it end up with that name? Hello everyone, I'm Frank. Welcome to Secrets of Simple Things. This isn't a place for headlines or hot takes. Here we slow down, we notice, we uncover the quiet stories behind the things you see every day, the ones that hide in plain sight. Today, let's open that familiar can, let the bubbles rise, and uncover the real reason why ginger ale is called ale. A story that began in ancient apothecaries and still fizzes softly through time, right here on Secrets of Simple Things. If you love stories that hide inside ordinary things, you're in the right place. Stay curious and stay kind. To understand, we need to go way back, long before soda machines and bottle caps, to a time when ginger wasn't a flavor, but a medicine. For centuries across Asia, ginger has been treasured for its healing touch, easing digestion, calming nausea, and soothing the body from within. And somehow, across oceans and generations, that healing spirit found its way into a drink the whole world now knows. When European traders carried ginger west, it didn't just change the way people cooked, it changed the way they drank. By the 1600s, ginger had become more than a spice. It was a spark. Across England's kitchens and taverns, people began brewing it with sugar, water, and sometimes a touch of lemon. The result was ginger beer, though it had little in common with the clear, gentle soda we know today. This early version was alive, fermented, fiery, and bold. It hissed when you opened it, burned a little when you swallowed it, and left a warmth that lingered long after. It wasn't a soft drink. It was a small storm in a glass, a drink with spirit, in every sense of the word. It didn't start in a soda fountain. Long before the age of bottled sodas, ginger lived a double life, both spice and medicine, both comfort and fire. When it reached Europe, it slipped easily into the brewing culture of the time. By the 1700s, people were fermenting ginger with sugar, water, and a squeeze of lemon, creating ginger beer, a drink that foamed and fizzed just like real ale. And that's where the name began. Back then, ale didn't just mean beer, it was a word for any fermented drink without hops. Ginger beer fit perfectly into that world, spicy, alive, and homemade. It wasn't malted, it wasn't hopped, but it was brewed. So when people called it ginger ale, it wasn't a marketing trick. It was linguistic honesty, a reflection of what it truly was, a fiery, fermented tonic that carried the warmth of home. It started as a cure before it became a comfort, and a name that once described fermentation would later come to describe feeling. By the mid-1800s, the world's taste was changing. People began to move away from heavy, yeasty brews, craving something cleaner, brighter, a sparkle without the sting. Then came a quiet revolution: carbonation without fermentation. Suddenly, you could make bubbles in water without yeast or alcohol. Enter the soda fountain era, a time of marble counters, tinkling glasses, and chemists turned dreamers. They began flavoring their fizzy creations, and ginger, already beloved, was a natural choice. These early ginger ales were lighter, sweeter, and entirely non-alcoholic, the gentler descendants of their spicy ancestors. And then, in 1907, a Canadian pharmacist named John McLaughlin perfected what the world didn't know it needed: Canada Dry. Crystal clear, crisp, and calm. A drink born from fire, reborn as comfort, and ready to conquer the modern world. Unlike its predecessors, this ginger ale was completely non-alcoholic, perfectly clear, and much less spicy. It was marketed not just as a drink, but as a cure for indigestion and nausea. Here's the interesting part. By the time ginger ale became a soda, the term ale was already deeply associated with ginger drinks. So why was it called ale in the first place? Because back then, anything fermented, whether made with grain, fruit, or even ginger, fell into that same family. When you mixed sugar, water, and ginger, the natural yeast floating in the air joined the party. Slowly, quietly, it began to eat the sugar, releasing tiny bubbles of carbon dioxide, the same kind that make beer foam and champagne sparkle. That's fermentation, nature's simplest chemistry. No machines, no carbonation tanks, just time, warmth, and a living process that turned spice into spirit. Think of it as a soda with the soul of a small beer, fizzy, fragrant, and very much alive. In those early batches, the pressure from fermentation could even pop corks if the bottles were sealed too tight, a literal explosion of flavor. But here's the twist. By the time ginger ale became a soda, there was nothing left to ferment. The process was gone, but the name remained. Why? 3 reasons. First, tradition. People had grown up with ginger beer and ginger ale. The word ale carried familiarity and trust. Second, marketing. In the early 1900s, ale sounded refined, even medicinal. Something you'd sip to feel better, not just to quench thirst. And third, culture. Back then, many soft drinks borrowed names from alcoholic ones: root beer, sarsaparilla, even tonic water. So even though modern ginger ale is crystal clear and non-alcoholic, the name survived. It carried the warmth of its past, a reminder of its fiery beginnings. Many people think ginger ale is just another soda, sweet, harmless, the kind you drink when the waiter asks, "Would you like something light?" But here's the truth. Once upon a time, it had more bite than beer itself. Before Canada Dry made it clear and calm, ginger ale was a fiery brew, strong enough to make your throat tingle. Then in 1907, a Canadian pharmacist named John McLaughlin decided to tame it. He refined the formula: no yeast, no alcohol, less spice, and created something entirely new: Canada Dry Ginger Ale. Crisp, pale, perfectly clear. But he didn't sell it as just a drink. He sold it as relief. Posters read, "For nausea, for indigestion, for comfort." It wasn't beer anymore. It was therapy in a bottle. Vintage ads flashing on screen. Canada Dry cures nausea. Soft piano tone with faint hissing sound of carbonation. In the early 20th century, doctors began recommending ginger ale for upset stomachs, motion sickness, even morning nausea. It was no longer just a home remedy. It became a prescribed comfort. That reputation never left. Even today, when people feel sick on a flight or reach for something gentle in a hospital cafeteria, they don't think twice. Their hand naturally goes for a can of ginger ale. The branding worked, but more than that, the comfort became real. A drink that once healed the body had somehow learned to heal the mood. It began as a medicine. It stayed because it made us feel better, even when we weren't sick. Today, you'll find ginger ale in places that don't seem connected. Hospitals, airplanes, cocktail bars. Different settings, same instinct. On a flight, when the world tilts and your stomach turns, it's the drink the attendant offers with a reassuring smile. In hospitals, it sits quietly on trays beside thermometers and folded napkins, a small gesture of care. At home, it's what mothers still hand to their children when they say, "My tummy hurts." Somehow, ginger ale became more than just a beverage. It became a ritual of comfort. We reach for it not because we're thirsty, but because it reminds us we'll be okay. It's a drink you don't crave until you need it. But ginger ale isn't stuck in nostalgia. It's evolving, just like the people who drink it. In cocktail bars, it's the quiet partner blending with whiskey or rum to create balance between warmth and bite. In Japan, it's often paired with sushi as a palate cleanser. And across the world, craft brewers are bringing back the golden ginger ale, stronger, spicier, closer to its roots. Each version tells a story: the pharmacist's soda, the traveler's comfort, the bartender's secret. Different purposes, same soul. Even after a century, ginger ale still carries the same message, that something simple can still feel special. Born from healing, reborn for living. So, why is it called ginger ale? Because the name, like the drink itself, carries history in every bubble. It began as a fiery brew, born from medicine, crafted in kitchens, and shaped by centuries of taste. Then it softened, cleared, and learned to comfort instead of burn. And even though it's no longer brewed, no longer alcoholic, the name ale stayed, a word that remembers what the drink once was. Names outlive meanings, just like root beer that has no beer or tonic water that tones nothing at all. Ginger ale kept its title as a souvenir from the past. A relic, yes, but a living one, because what it stands for never really changed. Warmth, relief, a small kindness that fizzes when you need it most. Sometimes the simplest things hold the deepest stories, and every sip of ginger ale is a quiet reminder that even comfort has roots. If you enjoyed this story, tell us what simple thing you'd like us to uncover next. Maybe your idea will sparkle in the next episode of Secrets of Simple Things. Stay curious and stay kind. Our team uses open-source research, historical archives, and AI tools to create these videos. Despite our best efforts, small errors or omissions may still occur. The following video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines and content policies. If you have feedback or see something that needs correction, please reach out to us at agency.skamedia@gmail.com, because learning, after all, is something we do together.